Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So guys, we gotta talk about what Dan Orlovsky just did, what he wrote for ESPN. I mean, look, first of all, Dan Orlovsky, I like him as an ESPN analyst. I think he's a good analyst. I think he definitely knows what he's talking about. Former NFL quarterback, entertaining guy on First Take, Get Up on ESPN. If you watch ESPN, if you're a football fan, you know Dan Orlovsky pretty well, chances are. And again, I like him. Respect to Dan Orlovsky. I respect him. He's entertaining. I like watching him. But with that being said, look, everyone can be wrong sometimes. And this ranking that he posted, ranking all 14 NFL playoff quarterbacks from best to worst, I had a little bit of a problem with it. There were a couple things that were disputable, but there was one thing in particular, I fell to my knees, literally and metaphorically. I mean, oh my God, we just got to talk about it. Didn't expect to make this. This list came out yesterday, so let's go through it, give my own personal opinion, and then tell you, or you'll know the part that I completely disagree with. But again, I like you, Dan, but Let's just go through this. Okay, so he's going to go best to worst quarterbacks in the playoffs right now. I guess it's based off, I think he's basing it off who do you want the most in a playoff game to start right now? Who do you trust the most at this point in time? Yeah, so I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think that's the way Dan Orlovsky ranked it. So we're starting at number one, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, sorry, guys. My bad. I spoiled number two. But we're starting at number one with Patrick Mahomes. No question there. I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. He has a Super Bowl already, Super Bowl MVP, a regular season MVP, probably getting his second one this year. No problem whatsoever with Patrick Mahomes at number one. He's the best in the business. Joe Burrow at number two. You know, this one, you could argue Josh Allen. I don't know. I think it could go either way. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's a tie, but I don't really have a problem with it because you can definitely argue Joe Burrow's big time enough to be number two. I can see it. No problem with it whatsoever. He's clutch. He's gotten to the Super Bowl. So, just last year, of course. So Joe Burrow at two, no problem. Josh Allen at three. Look, as long as Josh Allen and Joe Burrow are 2 and 3 or in the top three, that's all that matters. So no problem with Josh Allen whatsoever at number three. Great quarterback. Everyone knows that these are the three best quarterbacks in football. So then we go to number four. We have Jalen Hurts. Dan Orlovsky has Jalen Hurts at number four. Now, I think Jalen Hurts has had actually, you know what? I'm going to show you number five as well. Jalen Hurts ahead of Justin Herbert. So I don't really think it's terrible. I think Jalen Hurts has definitely had a better year, and he's on a better team than Justin Herbert, but neither of them have much playoff experience. Justin Herbert doesn't have any. Jalen Hurts had playoff experience from last year, but he didn't play that well. But here's the thing. I know Jalen Hurts has had a better season, but going into the playoffs, at least at this point in time, I might take Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts for a guy that I want starting for me in the playoffs, because even though Jalen Hurts has vastly improved as a passer, and he's obviously a great rusher, I still would rather have a guy who can make every throw, because a lot of times we see rushing quarterbacks, it's hard to play from behind. Sometimes you have to play from behind. The game script doesn't favor you. And sometimes a lot of times you need a quarterback to make some big time throws and win you a close game a lot of times. So I would honestly rather have Justin Herbert. That's just my opinion. We're going to see what both of these guys are made of in all likelihood in this postseason. So I don't hate that, but I would go with Justin Herbert over Trevor Lawrence. Then we have Lamar Jackson at number six. Now, you're losing me, Dan. Again, I like you. You're losing me. Lamar Jackson is not even start. I think when he wrote this article, Lamar Jackson still had a chance to play against the Bengals. But even if he were playing, even though he's ruled out now, but hypothetically, if he were playing, I don't like Lamar Jackson at number six. He's 1 and 3 in the playoffs. I think he should get paid. I think he's obviously a good quarterback, but he has not proven at all to be a great playoff quarterback. And again, it's the thing where he's a great rushing quarterback, good for the scheme that the Ravens have, but in the playoff games he's lost, they've been behind, and he wasn't able to, his passing wasn't good enough to bring them back. So for the playoffs, I don't really like Lamar Jackson at 6, especially not ahead of the GOAT, Tom Brady. Yes, has Tom Brady declined a little bit? Yes, but it's still Tom freaking Brady, and he's still pretty good. And in the playoffs, you would rather have Lamar Jackson over the GOAT? Look, there's a reason why he's the GOAT. The GOAT, okay? Tom Brady should not be behind Lamar Jackson. That is pretty blasphemous right there. Now we get into the most blasphemous thing ever. Oh man, this angered me. Oh my God. Daniel Jones at number 8 ahead of Trevor Lawrence. Daniel Jones ahead of Trevor Lawrence. Dan, again, for like the 5th time, I like you, Dan. You're a good analyst. But how? Okay, take out my Jaguar bias as a Jags fan. Take out the Giants fans and their bias. Objectively, if you are not a fan of either team, objectively, right now in the playoffs, who do you want more? Who do you trust more, Daniel Jones or Trevor Lawrence? I think you're going with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, yes, Daniel Jones has the rushing upside. He has way more rushing yards than Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence, better touchdown to interception ratio, especially the way he's played the last handful of weeks to get the Jags into the playoffs. Who is taking Daniel Jones over Trevor Lawrence? And I think another way to know that Trevor Lawrence is better is that the Giants, their number one option on offense, their offense basically runs through Saquon Barkley and also through the read option for Daniel Jones. But if you're an opposing defense, if you're the Vikings, you're going to want to make Daniel Jones throw more and reduce the run game. And you want the way to, I guess, neutralize or try to neutralize their offense. I think most defensive coordinators are going to try to make Daniel Jones throw the ball, make him beat you instead of Saquon Barkley and the defense and, their scheming. But Trevor Lawrence, even though Travis Etienne's a really good running back, you still don't want Trevor Lawrence to throw the ball. So I think Trevor Lawrence is a way better thrower of the football for the future, but also right now, I think that's absolutely ridiculous to put Daniel Jones over Trevor Lawrence. This alone made me want to make this video, so let's just somehow move on. Oh my God, Dan. All right, so Geno Smith at number 10 ahead of Kirk Cousins. Are you kidding me? This is also look, Geno Smith maybe had a better year than Kirk Cousins. Geno Smith had a really good season. And I know Kirk Cousins isn't exactly Tom Brady in the playoffs, but still, Kirk Cousins has done a lot more than Geno Smith. Geno Smith never started a playoff game. Before this year, he was an absolute bust and an afterthought, not even considered a starter. Credit to him for the year he's had. It's been an amazing year for Geno Smith, and I hope he does well in the playoffs. But still, he never started a playoff game, and I think I'd still rather have Kirk Cousins, who's at least been there, although Kirk Cousins isn't, and he's not great in the playoffs either. But still, he has a way bigger sample size than Geno Smith. Before this year, Geno Smith had no business. No one thought he was good enough to be a starter. So an amazing story Geno Smith is. If there was a most surprising player award, I'd give it to him. Great story, but I don't think he's better than Kirk Cousins. And then we have Dak Prescott at number 12. I know Dak Prescott, especially because he's the Cowboys quarterback, gets a lot of criticism. I still think he's better than Geno Smith as well. I don't know. I think he does have some playoff experience. I'd still rather have him starting than Geno Smith because I have no idea what to expect from Geno Smith going into a playoff game. I think Kirk Cousins is a little bit better than Dak Prescott, but I think both of them should be ahead of Geno Smith. So we only have 2 spots here. Let's just reveal them together. Brock Purdy at 13, and we have, Skylar Thompson at 14, obviously. Brock Purdy has had a great 1/3 of a season, undefeated as a starter, Mr. Irrelevant no longer. He's very relevant right now. We just have no idea how he's going to play in the playoffs. He's had a very good regular season, but again, we just have no idea. And at the end of the day, he is a rookie, and he's not the number one reason why the Niners are here. And with Skylar Thompson being a third-string backup, no issue with that whatsoever. There's no way he's not the worst quarterback in the field, unless, I guess, Anthony Brown starts, then he and Skylar Thompson can fight it out. But yeah, and honestly, it's gotten to the point where the Dolphins beating the Bills would have an argument to be the biggest playoff upset in NFL history. But guys, that was a very interesting top 14 QBs going into the playoffs list by Dan Orlovsky. I thought it was interesting enough to make a video about, but guys, definitely make sure to comment your opinions. Where do you think Dan Orlovsky's right? Where do you think he's wrong? Love to hear it. Trevor Lawrence behind Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones over Trevor Lawrence. I can't believe that. I'm in shock. But guys, regardless, make sure to comment your opinions. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're an NFL fan. And this is going to be my last video before the playoffs start tomorrow. I can't wait. I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it. I hope you guys do as well. And with that being said, I will see you all in the next one.